Hey, you guys. Welcome to Shoot the Shh. Today, we have a awesome conversation. One that I feel doesn't get enough attention. And while I wait for people to join, I just want to tell you guys so much. I appreciate you guys for watching and being a part of the channel because honestly, I do this for you. I love helping others know what it takes to actually be knowledgeable and support and protect their family. Because at the end of the day, everything that we learn about firearms, everything that we do with firearms is really for the benefit of our loved ones, not just for us. So honestly, this is why I'm here, and I just really appreciate you guys being here. So today's topic is one that I feel doesn't get enough attention. So we definitely want to dive into that and make sure you guys have a good sense of that. And I really hope you guys join in the chat to be able to share your opinions and the things that you feel need to be said or questions that you may have. I'll do my best to answer. If you're new here, you may not know me already. I'm Mrs. Trouble. Hey. And I am a licensed firearm instructor. And my company provides training for the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We do a lot of training to help customers be familiar with firearm use. And so my niche is really women empowerment and child advocacy. So this is where I focus a lot of my attention and my information. And so I do my best to make sure that everybody is equipped with things they need to know to make sure their family is safe. So again, welcome. I appreciate you guys joining. And basically, this channel is really to make sure that we have strong woman empowerment and that everybody's doing their part to make sure that their family is being safe, therefore educating their family and changing the narrative, honestly. So today's conversation couldn't have been more perfect for exactly what this channel stands for. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this. I mean, because honestly, why waste time, right? So definitely making sure that we have the good understanding of firearm safety is always forefront in everything that we need to do. The thing is, when it comes to firearms get such a bad rep. I mean, I'm really getting sick and tired of it. Every time you turn around, something's wrong about guns. We got gun violence over here. You got politics over here. You got people blocking people from doing things to help others because they're afraid of guns. I can't tell you how many platforms that my husband and I have tried to either be a part of or advertise and market what we do, and they shoot us down. No pun intended, but I guess, yes, it fits. But definitely, it has been really disencouraging to help others when there's so many platforms out here that won't even allow us to advertise or market. I mean, we've had some platforms that actually already had stopped us from going live because we had firearms in our hand. We were conducting a firearms safety course, and they cut out live because we were going live with the firearm in our hand. It was against their rules. Unfortunately, I didn't know that ahead of time. Now I know better. And the more I started to live a little, the more I started to see things. I kind of understand what's the reasoning behind it, because guns are given such a bad rep because of the stupid things that people do with guns. I mean, for starters, we had one weekend just a few weeks ago, the weekend of September 28th, there was about 4 mass shootings, 4 in the United States. And I'm like, this is just crazy, all in one weekend. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little overview of that. I mean, one case, well, I only have 3 right now. I didn't find the 4th one, I forgot to find that. But one was Grand Blanc, Michigan. That was on September 28th. A gunman drove a vehicle through a church, opened fire, and set the building ablaze. 4 people were killed and 8 others wounded in an attack. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. The suspect was 40 years old, Iraq war veteran, and who died after exchanging fire with the police. I mean, what was the motive? We still don't know. We don't even understand why this person even did this. And then we had a situation that happened Southport, North Carolina, September 28th through the 28th. I'm sorry, September 27th through the 28th. A mass shooting occurred at a waterfront bar. It was in the middle of the night. That's why they said 27th, 28th. 3 people were killed. At least 5 more were injured. And the reports showed that this person was a shooting from a boat and into a crowded gathering across the waterfront of the shores. And I mean, like, for what? Why are we doing this? And then we have this other case that happened in New Orleans, uh, same weekend on Bourbon Street. Quadruple shooting left one woman dead and three others wounded. Authorities did not immediately release the suspect or motive, so we still don't know what's the reason for that as well. So it's just crazy that we have all of these type of situations that's happening with guns constantly. We always hear these things in the forefront of the media, right? But we never hear anything positive about guns. And it's just, I find it really odd that there's so many people out there like myself that are advocates of 2A, that are helping people who are doing positive things with it. There's a whole sport arena for firearms, but we don't hear anything about that on the press. So today, my goal is to share some of that light today. And for those who are in the chat that said, hey, Stella and Mark Gabriel, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you guys joining. I hope this conversation is something that will be helpful and enlightenment to you. And if you can put your 2 cents in as well. So again, this channel is really all about woman empowerment. It's really about helping each other. But I have lots of guys that are here, and I really appreciate you guys joining as well, because your input is needed too. We all live together. We're part of the same community. And as a firearm instructor, my goal is to really help you guys be safe with firearms. And no better way to do it than with you guys' help as well. So today we're really going to dive into why responsible gun owners are rarely part of the media story. We're going to talk about what true firearm responsibility looks like. And we're also going to talk about how instructors and advocates like myself are really building safer communities. And how can you guys help? Please definitely put in the chat box area the things that you do on a daily basis that help too. Because honestly, this is just madness that we have these mass shootings. Something has to be done about it. And there are options, there are answers. And for lots of people, they may not understand what the solution to the problem is. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, one solution to the problem is focusing on our mental health. We got to check ourselves. We got to check ourselves, and we have to be honest with ourselves about the loved ones that we have as well. If we feel like somebody is a little off, we need to say something. We need to do something about that. Guns need to be confiscated, and this is a very controversial topic, because when it comes to the red flag law, if you're not familiar with that is, it's basically if you see something, say something. When it comes to the yellow flag law, there's extra steps, but basically the same thing applies. If you see something, say something, and this, on the streets, that might be you snitching, right? And so I can understand why that might not be a good thing when you're brought up in a certain culture. I get that. But it's too many senseless crimes that's going on right now, too many senseless murders. Kids are getting hurt, things like that. And there are things that we could have done to avoid that. And so we need to stop it. We need to be serious with ourselves. And 9 times out of 10, these people that committed these mass shootings over the weekend, probably mental health situations, because why would somebody just take the time to just shoot up innocent people in a random place? There had to be some sort of motive that caused them to do this, and even still, that type of motive to hurt innocent people, So, hey, thank you, Sarah, for joining. I appreciate you coming in. And if your question is respectful, yes, you can. Because today and every day on Shoot the Shh, we're all respectful. I don't pass any judgments to anybody, and I'm appreciative of your input, even if I don't agree with it. So I am all ears for your question. And so when it comes to this whole thing about people opening shooting and things like that, I mean, it gets repetitive, it gets crazy, and it almost makes you feel a little desensitized that things like that happen often enough. And we have to be mindful that we should never be desensitized to unnecessary death, especially just, someone who has a mental health situation, especially mass shootings and things like that. So we have to figure out what we can do as a people, as a community, to kind of prevent some of these things. So sorry, let's see. I have a friend who is in a gang and dealing with peer pressure. Okay, all right. So good for you to give me that backdrop. What's your question? Because when it comes to gun violence on the street, when it pertains to being in a gang, those are things that are a little unique, I would say. Well, not unique, but more so a tricky situation. You wouldn't bring a knife to a gunfight, right? So when you think about life in that approach, if you're out there in them streets in that way, then I can see why you would want to have some protection for yourself. But at the same token, the key word is protection. The key word is that you can more than likely do this legally if you are of age at least. So sorry, you said, let's see, but I know he loves men. He is covering up big time. Okay. All right. But you know he loves men and he is covering up big time. Okay. Well, that's something I don't know if I can give you advice about. This has anything to do with guns? So, and the thing is, it's one of those things that to each his own. When it comes to that type of lifestyle, I don't have no answers for you for that. Uh, so yeah, heckler, like you said, he gay? I mean, right now we're talking about firearms, and if that's his preference of life, that's his. Okay, yeah, he carries a gun and he is gay. Okay, all right. So him carrying a gun, he is gay. One doesn't really have to do with the other and doesn't really matter one way or another. All types of people carry the gun. And he may have even more so reason if he's out there in that type of lifestyle that being gay may not be an open acceptable thing in his choice of life. And so he may need to have that protection. So I'm still not really sure what your question is towards this person, what type of advice. But I would say that they probably should have some sort of protection for themselves because they're living that life or get out of that life. I mean, that's easier said than done, I'm sure, but that's one of those things. Yeah, he may do need to move and start over, like Lynn said. Thanks for that input as well. So this is one of those things when it comes to life. I had to think very hard about those type of things when, I don't know if any of you guys already know so far, but I am from DC. Coming from the city, I understand based on my growing up that some people do get caught up in the street life. I never had that experience. I stayed far away from it, and probably easier so because I'm a female. But when it comes to that, me providing training in the city these days, and particularly pertaining to children, particularly trying to go into charter schools and educate them about things, I started to understand the demographics of when you're teaching kids different demographics do deal with different things. And street life is one of those things. And so it's harder to tell them if you see a gun, don't touch it, because they're probably carrying a gun because they feel like they need protection. And that's the biggest challenge because a lot of times they're not even of age yet. So those are things that have to be considered. So when you start to educate them about the law and how they can actually protect themselves other ways that would be legal, then it could be helpful. But it still is that question or that statement. You can't really carry a knife or something else that's not a gun to a gunfight. So at the end of the day, I do understand that concern for actually carrying things like firearms to protect themselves. But senseless, murder, unnecessary crimes, things like that, it's just makes things terrible, makes things very terrible. Let's see. Somebody said, I'm just trying to look at the comments here. Okay, you have a Smith& Wesson Model 36. Like he's carrying this gun, but the only doing to cause him because he loves Tyrese. Okay, really? You playing with me now? Wow. Sorry, I'm trying to help you out here. You playing with me. Okay, and we all know Tyrese ain't okay. He's a peer pressure him. He knows Tyrese is straight, even if he kisses him. Okay, really? Okay, so moving on. So basically, your friend, sorry, I don't know what advice I can give you for this situation. I don't have any understanding about their lifestyle and things. Only thing I can tell you is them carrying a gun, if they're of age, hopefully they can get a concealed carry permit and carry it legally. Because the biggest challenge and the biggest thing that I see a problem that happens in the community a lot, I think about the story that happened, what was this, about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was a group of guys that lived in a house. They owned a house in Upper Marlboro, I believe it was, Maryland, or it might have been Largo, Maryland. And they were selling weed out their house. They were selling guns out their house. And the sad part about it is all of them got so many years in jail. I think it was 3 guys. So many years in jails for doing something that was actually legal to do. They just went about it illegally. And there's so many times I'll have customers that comes to me and they're saying, okay, I'm ready to actually do this the right way, which means they've already been carrying a gun illegally and now they need help to do it legally. Because the dumbest thing you can possibly do is already doing something that is legal to do. It's just a certain protocol you have to go through to do it legally. So hopefully this person can get a concealed carry permit and be able to carry legally and be able to protect themselves. Because if they don't have a concealed carry and they don't have any criminal record preventing them from doing that, then they use a gun in a way, use a gun period, and they weren't supposed to be in possession of a gun, then that could be a terrible situation for them and senseless for them to be in prison behind something like that. So that's what I would say as far as that. Now, Diaz, you said I'm looking to buy my first gun. Nothing too expensive, maybe max like 400 or 500, but I'm also left-handed. Any recommendations? Good question. So thanks for the question. So there are many guns out there that are, I'm not gonna say many, but ambidextrous, okay? And I do, thank you, DMV renovations. I appreciate it. I was definitely gonna recommend some Springfields for you because they do have ambidextrous guns. And when I say that, I mean that there's a slide lock, there's the magazine release. Those are things that are found on the right hand side of the gun. So any gun that's made like that is going to be helpful. Somebody else help me out. There's another brand that I can't get it on the tip of my tongue. Oh gosh, is it H&K's? I want to say it's H&K's that has a lot of ambidextrous guns as well. And then Glocks, believe it or not, lots of times they come, thank you, Trouble. So H&K is definitely very known for having ambidextrous guns. The thing is, though, when you are a left-handed shooter, I always tell my people who are left-handed shooters that the world is yours to explore. You already have to adapt to the rest of the right-handed world. Why do you think you cannot adapt to what someone would call a right-handed gun? I mean, literally, you can totally figure it out by shooting left-handed and still be able to take the magazine out, still be able to lock the gun to the rear, all of that by using your left hand. And so when I do have students that come with me that are left-handed, I make sure that they know those things and I show them how they can actually do it. I mean, honestly, you guys have to figure out how to do things being left-handed as it is. So I'm pretty sure it's not nothing to you but to figuring it out. So what I will say is it is nice to have things that are ambidextrous for you when it comes to, or left-handed, gun, but you can definitely learn how to use any other gun too. So don't limit yourself to just that. And especially if you want to get multiple firearms, you can totally do that and you can learn. And so the H&K definitely is one that I do recommend people to all the time because Trouble definitely has told me this before, and me seeing them, how they have things on the right-hand side for people that are left-handed. So hopefully those two brands work for you. They're really good, reputable brands, and it's something that I totally enjoy shooting. So I think you will really like it. And then there's so many others, but I'm not really big on Glocks, although Glocks do have some things that are on the right-hand side for people, or you can get it put on the right-hand side. So let's see. You're welcome, Diaz. Michael, I'm a lefty. Yeah, yes, and you're right. You're right. She is right. Having that gun on that side definitely helps, but you can totally do it. You can totally do it if you have a gun that is right-hand dominant. Okay. And like you said, Mike, Michael said you can switch some things for Glock on the other side. You totally can. Some guns do come like that. And so when you are getting your gun from the gun shops, consult the FFL dealers. They'll be able to help you with getting those things switched out to the other side if you need to. Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to this whole gun problem situation, one of the things that I was seeing in the media recently that has really been bugging me. For those who are regulars here, you probably already know I love my SIG. I love SIG Sauer. I really do. The P320 specifically, the one that's all over the media about the gun going off without the trigger being pulled. Now, what I'm going to say about this is it I didn't believe it at first. Mostly I didn't want to believe it because I love my SIG. I've never had any problems with it. I've had it for quite a while now, and I've had plenty of students to have it as well, and they've not had any problems with it. But what I am going to say is that latest case that happened in July, the latest case that I know of anyway, that happened in July, I believe it was Marines that have reported that the gun had gone off when somebody put the gun on the table and the gun shot the person in the chest without the trigger being pulled. First of all, I called that, like, already said something was wrong with that story. That story made no sense to me because if you know anything about guns, when you take the gun out of your holster and you put it on the table in front of you, the gun's not going to be pointed at you. Because my first question was, why is the gun pointed at the person? That was my very first question. And so it's amazing how immediately after that happened, certain companies were coming out saying, oh, I'm pulling this gun from my shelves, or I'm not using this gun in my trainings. And I was like, I'm not about to do that to SIG. My gun has been great to me, so I constantly use mine. And then I have plenty of students that uses theirs because, first of all, the gun should always be pointed in a safe direction. You should never have your finger on the trigger until you're actually ready to shoot. Another case that made me question this whole situation right from the beginning was years ago. I want to say it was like 4 years ago. There was a police officer. You guys can find this on YouTube as well. I know there's clips out there where the officer was getting out of his cruiser, and as he was getting out of his cruiser, he pulled the gun out of his holster. He accidentally shot himself in the leg. And I'm like, he said the gun went off without him squeezing the trigger, but you can't really tell in the video if he did or not. And it really, really bothers me. Like, this is not cool. Like, stop lying on my SIG, people. That's an awesome gun. I love it. Now, what we found out was with this case in July with the Marines saying that the gun shot the person. The person died, by the way, you guys. Shot him right in the heart. We found out later on that, if you didn't know, they lied about it. They blamed it on SIG because the media had already blown up the whole cases of the 100 claims that people were saying that the gun went off without them squeezing the trigger. If anybody here has a P320, you can probably understand and know that the trigger is very easy to pull and it goes off pretty fast. It doesn't take much pound for pressure. It's a pretty smooth trigger. And with that being said, if you're pulling the gun out of the holster with your finger on the trigger, it's likely that you could have squeezed the trigger and shot your own leg. That's just my imagination, but that's my theory. Now, and one of the things that's really bothering me about this is people are going so hard on SIG about this stuff, and I can't wait for SIG to come out of this whole hole of a mess that's happening, because this gun is a very reliable gun in my opinion. I've not had any issues with it. Have you, DMV renovations? I'm just wondering, because honestly, it's been my favorite. But basically, the other guns have had problems too. If you guys don't already know, Taurus has had problems with their Millennium brand of firearms, and that one was completely pulled from the shelves because they were having problems with when you drop the gun, it going off. So they pulled that one. And then also Glock had problems. Many people don't know that. Glock being like the most known firearm there is because they have a great marketing team, had problems. The trigger was problematic, and so and also rust issues. But nowadays, Glock is doing really great on all those things. The only thing I would say about Glock's trigger that I'm not a fan of is how much gook actually gets built up on the inside. And so if you're not careful and keep it clean on the inside around the trigger, it does make the trigger a little bit weird to squeeze. It doesn't work well. Things get gooked up on the inside. So make sure you keep that clean on the inside if you have a Glock. But what I can say about the rust, well, they definitely fixed that problem completely. So that's a really good gun as far as rust resistance. So if you live somewhere where there's high humidity, Glocks are pretty good for that. I will say that. It's not my favorite gun by choice. Trust me. No way, shape, or fashion am I I guess, particularly recommending that gun, but for rush purposes, they definitely achieved that goal. And Drew, you said you got a 365. One of my favorites again. Love my SIG P365. Is definitely my go-to concealed carry. Love it. It shoots so well in my hand. It just fits perfectly in my hand, and I just absolutely love it. So, yeah, Texas definitely has some high humidity there. So, Glocks might be the name of the game for you, but there are some little tricks that you can do with other guns. Like if you're going to store your gun for a period of time, you can just easily just put extra oil on it so it doesn't rust, and just make sure you wipe it off good before you're going to the range. You could also put silica packs inside of your safe. Like wherever you put your gun stored, there's little silica packs, those little tiny packs with beads in it. You can put those in there too to keep the moisture away from the guns as well. But there's also things like if you have a particular space that you're putting it in and it's closed in, there's little monitors, like a thermostat basically for humidity. And you can kind of keep an eye on things that way too to make sure that the humidity is not too crazy. Put a dehumidifier over in that area or something. So that might help as well. So it's so many things we could do out there to prevent the rust, Now, when it comes to this whole social media enlightenment, how they do us, it's really, really interesting they do how they put this information out there. I mean, we always hear, well, this happened, that happened. We don't hear the why that happened when it comes to these shootings. You typically have to research a little bit later, because once the story dies down, you don't hear any more information resurfacing. So if you're anything like me, I like to go back and research. I've learned that when we see things in the media, when we see videos, they only tell us portions of the truth. So I've gotten in a habit of actually waiting for a little bit and actually reading the reports. And when I read the reports, I get more of the information. The why, the when, the wheres always come out later, okay? So that's also my little tip right there. When you guys are seeing things on social media or anything like that, wait a little bit, read about it a little bit, find out a little bit more facts about it first, because a lot of times what we initially thought, it tends to be just a little bit different once we wait and find out what really happened. So let's see. Then this person said only for concealing. Okay. So when it comes to these whole situations where the media doesn't give information about, firearm ownership, what things people actually do, take the time to do the things that needs to be done to be safe. They don't give us any information about the organizations and companies out there that's going around educating people and helping people. They don't give us any media about the shooting sports. I mean, God's sakes, you guys, we have a whole department in the Olympics dedicated to shooting. I mean, there's so many definitely shooting arenas across the nation and across the world, and those things don't get the frontline media. I mean, guns are so demonified, it's ridiculous. I can't even go into a school and teach. Public schools do not want me in the school to teach these kids about gun safety. I mean, how smart would it be for us to get ahead of a situation? If we know that we have mass shootings happening in schools, and 9 times out of 10, it happens from the students that go to the very school, why is it not that we're promoting for people to actually go into schools and talk to these kids about gun safety awareness? I'm not asking to go in there to teach these kids how to shoot. I'm asking to go in there and teach these kids about why they should definitely think about the things that they're wanting to do, or the things that they feel like they should do. Check your anger, check your mental health. I'm talking to them about, if you see a gun, what should you do? I mean, for goodness sakes, there's a guy out there right now that the mom has been all over social media. I don't know if you guys seen that story where her son had witnessed somebody bringing a gun to school, and he was 11 years old. I think the guy's 11 years old. The guy witnessed somebody else bringing a gun to school. So what he did was he took the gun and he unloaded it and made the gun safe so that nobody would get hurt. But yet he's the one actually being suspended for a whole year of school, after he was the hero and probably saved people's lives, because here was a child brought a gun to school and he knew what to do with it to make the gun safe. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the details because I don't know all the details. I know some of us can probably say, well, why didn't he tell the teacher this, that, and the other? And interesting enough, can you imagine a student actually reporting this to a teacher and the teacher's so all about, I'm afraid of guns and didn't have any clue what to do with it themselves? Like, but he knew what to do because his family taught him how to be safe around guns. I felt like he was a hero. I really did. And I didn't think he needed to be suspended in reference to this. Now, what they're trying to say is he got suspended because he saw a gun and he didn't tell the teachers right away. That's what they're trying to say. But really, I just think they're making guns be the enemy here. And it's sad because he didn't even bring the gun to school. He had nothing to do with that. He just called himself not snitching, trying to protect the other kid from getting in trouble, but also keep everybody safe. So I don't see the harm in what he did, but that's just me, and I don't know all the facts either to give you guys a true opinion. It's crazy that when we teach about gender identity, we teach about sex education, we teach about driving, all these type of things in the school systems, but the school system don't want us in the school teaching about gun safety when we clearly have a mass shooting problem in America and the shootings are happening at schools by students. That's absurd to me. So you guys help me out there, get certain politicians in there that might be aboard with some things like this. Because honestly, we need to do something. We got to do something different because this way ain't working. Now, what is wrong with this big picture? I mean, honestly, it all has to boil down to money or something because it's just not adding up. What I can say is a lot of times it may boil over into politics. When it comes into politics, guns are very political. And we have the Democratic Party, we have the Republican Party, and they're always fighting on one side or the other of the issue. But let me tell you guys, what is the Second Amendment for? I mean, honestly, do you guys really know what the Second Amendment is for? Because, I mean, everybody always talks about to bear arms, but that's not the real reason. That's not the only reason. That's only one portion of it. I mean, honestly, our Second Amendment right was for us to bear arms just in case the government, just in case we had tyranny, honestly. And the thing about that is it's sad to say that our quote unquote forefathers decided that we just came out of a civil war at that particular time. And to prevent something like this to happen again, it's like, okay, well, people, we are entrusting you to be your first line of defense. And this is how we're going to do it. And it amazes me that we have people out here who do not believe in the right to bear arms. When we see the things that our government does, when we see the things that governments do across the world, and they gave us a resource as individual citizens to be able to protect ourselves in our own home, bare minimum. and so, and it amazes me also for those who are of color living in America or any other race, it surprises me that this person's may be against firearms, considering there is nowhere you can look across the world that did not have any influence with guns. I mean, honestly, slavery wouldn't have went down like it did if guns didn't exist. People would have been brought over from one place to another, and people wouldn't have been kept in that bondage without guns existing. And it amazes me that people don't want to own guns now, to prevent somebody from harming them, prevent somebody from, forcing them to do whatever things they don't want to do. So the thing is, it's all about making sure that we are protecting our families, but we need to know how to do that. We need to make sure that we're educating ourselves in doing so. These things are all really important. So why is responsible gun owners rarely part of the media story? Is the biggest question I really have. I mean, the biggest thing that I can take from this is there's a possibility that just like in Gladiator, he said, "Are you not entertained?" I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that comes to my mind is the fact that if it's not entertaining, then it doesn't need to be in the media. I mean, for God's sakes, if somebody's not dying or getting hurt, people don't want to see it. So it doesn't get much publicity. And it's really sad and unfortunate, but that's the actual truth. That's my only conclusion. Do you guys have any other reasons why you think that things like what I'm doing is not getting much publicity? Things like other companies like myself that is trying to make sure that we help people is not getting much publicity, but these different petty little crimes that happens on the street, people getting shot for unnecessary stuff, those things are getting the media. And it's really, really crazy to me. Honestly, it is. So we have to change the narrative of firearms. We need to put more positivity out there, because once we do that, then we can change the mindsets of people to help them understand that guns never hurt anybody. It's always been the people wielding the gun. And besides what people are claiming for P360, right? P365, I'm sorry, P320. So people are claiming that say P320 is just shooting by itself, like it just has a mind of its own. I swear, I think that's a whole Final Destination type of situation. If your gun's going off without you squeezing the trigger, that's weird. It just blows my mind to think that that's a possibility out there, because I've never encountered any guns like that, and I've definitely dealt with many guns. So you have to really ask yourself, what is the narrative being pushed on us to always see things one-sided? I mean, even for myself, growing up in the city, I was never exposed to guns. The only exposure I had to guns was hearing them go off in the middle of the night or whatever, and I see a police officer with them, I'll see military personnel with them, and whatever other officer that carries a firearm, and of course thugs, right? And so with growing up with that narrative, I never really had a positive spin on firearms until I was an adult. And so that's why it's important for me to speak to people about making sure you know what things that are positive to do with firearms. I mean, responsible firearms do their due diligence and making sure they get the knowledge of firearm ownership. I mean, all the pieces of it, not just using it, but knowing how to store it safely, knowing how to teach their kids about it. These are all things that responsible firearm owners actually do on a daily basis. And more than like, people are doing this, but we're never talking about this in mass quantities. The only time you hear about it is some grand story of somebody doing something major and different. And even that, I still don't feel like it's big enough. I mean, honestly, I knew a young lady who runs an organization for PCOS awareness, and she was told that this company told her that they didn't want to get behind her organization and the things that she was doing because PCOS wasn't sexy. And it's like, what? You mean to tell me that? Okay, so for those who don't know what PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, okay? And what that is for women's body parts down there, they're not operating right, okay? And somebody actually told this lady that they're not getting behind her movement to help the vast majority of women that deal with PCOS, because PCOS is not sexy. Because cancer is sexy, so breast cancer gets all the media, but PCOS is not. And so you can see how this stuff is a little loony, if you ask me. When it comes to guns, it's the same narrative. If it's not exciting, if somebody's not being unalive, if somebody's not being hurt, then they don't want to put it out there, and that's really unfortunate and sad. I mean, I even see this in a regular life. Think about it like this. How many of us watch videos like those home videos that they used to play all the time, or these little clips that people put on social media? And if somebody's falling and hurting themselves, we're laughing, but they're hurting themselves. How is someone hurting themselves or getting hurt funny to us? And that's amazing, because all of us do it innocently, myself included, but I had to really think about it. There are some times where people hurt themselves, and the first thought I have is, are they okay? And then once I know they're okay, then I laugh. But maybe we shouldn't think like that either. And so it's one of those things where we really have to check ourselves, I would say, honestly. Now, one of the things I want you guys to take with you guys, honestly, is how we have instructors and advocates out here actually trying to help build a safer community, such as myself. My company is Trouble Defense, and we've taken on a mission of helping everyone, but we do have a specific program that most people wouldn't even see coming. Pun intended. We're actually providing firearm training to the blind. That's right. The blind can shoot. Yes, they can. I have tons of students that have come to us already. They're hitting bullseyes. If they're not hitting bullseyes, they're damn near close to it. And I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. They can do it. And one would probably say, well, why would a blind person want a gun anyway? Well, because they're human just like us. And there's nothing wrong with them besides the fact that they can't see. And guess what? Because they're walking around with that walking stick, they're actually a big target. Can you imagine somebody being a robber and they see somebody who they think is vulnerable, like a blind person who's walking who probably can't see them coming? Yeah, so they are a big target. And so, yes, some of them are definitely looking into getting a gun for protection. And Trouble Defense does provide that type of service. Now, we understand this is close quarter shooting. We're not asking them to shoot, 25, 50 yards, hundreds of yards away. We're talking about close quarter shots. And they're doing amazing at it. They're very well capable of doing it. And that's something that we feel strongly about here at Trouble Defense. I mean, honestly, there's so many other things that we're tackling too, like making sure kids are safe, having the knowledge. We're empowering women. Many women shy away from having guns because they're a woman and they're like, oh, well, my husband, oh, well, my brother, oh, well, my dad, somebody's going to protect me. Well, there are many cases out there where women are single or husbands away at work a lot type of situations. Well, I'm here to tell you, regardless of what your situation is, lady, you are your first line of defense. You got to get to some phone to be able to call somebody for help, regardless if it's the police or whether it's your brother, your cousin, your dad, whoever. You got to call for help. So in the meantime of you calling for help, you need to be able to protect yourself before somebody can get there to help you. And that is a big issue in my community of being a woman in society. So those are the things that we're tackling. That's just us, but there's so many other companies out there. Please support the local gun training organizations out there. Get some help, you guys. Know your rights as gun owners. Know the laws of what you can and cannot do in your home states. I'm telling you, people are going to jail for senseless stuff. I mean, senseless stuff. You don't have to go to jail if you are in the right, if you are protecting yourself. It's called self-defense. And yes, you can use a firearm for that. Or you can choose some other source of self-defense. That's totally fine. But the thing is, you need to know your rights to go along with that. So thank you guys for joining us today. And honestly, I really hope you guys found something here that was useful, that you can take with you and instill in the community to help us do better, give guns a better look out there. Because honestly, they do have positive uses. Guns have positive uses, not just negative ones. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to make sure you continue to practice, because there's no reason for you to carry a firearm if you've never get any practice. You need to practice pulling the firearm out the holster. You need to practice actually shooting it, or at least dry firing it often, so you're going to be familiar with it. And then I definitely want to make sure you guys understand that if you are in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, don't forget to stop by Trouble Defense. See what we're about. See how we can help you, because we have tons of different programs out there that helps many people. We try to customize the experience that people have with us so that we can be able to meet their needs. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Definitely stay tuned for next week, because next week we're going to dive into the idea of, are we really teaching our kids to be fearful of guns? I mean, honestly, I really think that's the way society is doing things. And there's maybe another motive for social media to put out there all negative stuff so we can make people fearful of things. I mean, there's been lots of history that repeats itself about people being controlled by fear. And maybe that is the narrative, to make people fearful of guns. So that's my question I'm leaving you guys with. Are we teaching our kids to be afraid of guns? And so I'm going to pick that conversation up next week, same time, 8 p.m. on Friday. And I look forward to seeing you guys. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I really would appreciate your subscriptions, and definitely like this video so others can know that this is worthwhile even watching. And don't forget to press that notification bell, because you won't know when I go live, just in case you don't see it posted. So definitely stay tuned for more, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much.